Big news for Raiders fans. The Las Vegas Raiders have just signed quarterback Geno Smith to a brand new contract extension. This move has everyone talking. And we finally have some details. Some believe the contract is designed like a one-year deal, giving the team a chance to move on after a season if they want. But honestly, that doesn't seem likely. Based on what we're seeing in the numbers, this deal gives the Raiders more power than people realize. We're also getting fresh updates on the team's offseason schedule, and today we'll talk about what the Raiders must do to start winning now. Head coach Antonio Pierce is clearly pushing the team into win-now mode. So the pressure is on. Before listening to the latest news, subscribe to the channel, like it, and don't forget to press the bell icon. Let's move on to the new news. Alright, back to Geno. A reliable source says his 2025 salary jumped from $31 million to $40 million. Out of that, $18.5 million is fully guaranteed, and another $8 million will also be guaranteed later, unless he gets hurt. In 2027, he's set to earn $39.5 million, but none of that is guaranteed yet. Plus, there's a yearly $3.5 million incentive added to the deal. That means if he plays well, he could earn even more. So, here's the big picture. Geno Smith has now signed a 2-year deal worth $43.75 million. It's not just a one-year rental. The Raiders clearly believe he can lead this team, at least for the next couple of seasons. The truth about NFL contracts, it's all about guaranteed money. You might hear someone's getting $30 million a year, but unless it's guaranteed, it's not real. Geno's deal is smart. The team gives him a raise this year and adds $9 million more to the salary cap, but they're doing it in a way that keeps control in their hands. Bottom line? Geno Smith is now officially the guy for the Raiders, and the team is all in for 2025. Now, let's break down the numbers a bit more. Geno Smith will earn a total of $43.5 million in 2025, but that doesn't mean all of it will count against the salary cap. The Raiders can still adjust things like adding a void year to reduce the hit. What really matters is the cash Geno is getting and how the contract is structured to protect the team. Here's where it gets interesting. In 2026, Geno is only guaranteed $18.5 million. So if, for some reason, the Raiders decide to move on after just 1 year, let's say Geno doesn't play well, or Aiden O'Connell suddenly turns into a superstar, the team can cut ties and only take an $18.5 million cap hit. And they'd actually save $8 million in the process. This gives the Raiders a lot of flexibility. Then comes 2027. And guess what? None of that money is guaranteed. It's just a base salary of $39.5 million with a $3.5 million yearly incentive. That means if Geno isn't working out by then, the team can move on without any financial pain. Altogether, his deal adds up to $116.5 million over the full span. But the smart part is how the Raiders structured it to stay in control. It's clear they like Geno for now, but they're not locking themselves in for the long haul. Think about it. You don't give up a third-round pick unless you believe that guy is your quarterback for the next season or two. But the Raiders also know the future is always changing. Maybe someone like Shedeur Sanders slips in the draft. Maybe Jackson Dart or Will Howard becomes a serious option. With this contract, the Raiders can keep their options wide open. Some fans are worried, saying $43.5 million a year sounds like too much. But look closer. The real yearly value is around $37 million, and it's packed with flexibility. That's a smart move in today's NFL, and here's why this matters. With Geno in place, the Raiders don't have to chase a quarterback in the draft. They can just focus on picking the best player available, whether it's a tackle, a running back, or even a future star safety. That freedom can make all the difference. If there's one thing the Raiders need to do in the draft, it's simple. Go for the best player available. If there's a game-changer on the board, someone like a future star safety or a top-tier talent like Budda Baker or Tyrann Mathieu, then take him. Don't hesitate. Get the guy who can transform your defense for the next 10 or 15 years. That's the kind of move that builds a winner. Now let's shift to some exciting news from inside the locker room. Max Crosby, the heart and soul of this Raiders defense, spoke out about the Geno Smith contract. In a message shared through Jordan Schultz, Crosby said, "I'm hyped. Geno's a baller and exactly what we needed. It starts with work and commitment. Now it's time to prove it. Let's go win." That's real leadership right there. And it says a lot about how this team is feeling right now. They believe in Geno. And why not? Geno is already out there, training with different players every single day. He's not just talking, he's working. That's exactly what the Raiders need in their quarterback: commitment, effort, and leadership. You won't see Geno wasting time. He's not sitting around, he's moving, he's grinding, and that energy is contagious. The Raiders can't afford to have a lazy quarterback who just logs in for practice and logs off to play video games. No, they need someone who lives football. Geno is acting like that guy. Now, let's talk about what's coming up for the team. The Raiders' off-season schedule is officially locked in. Things kick off on April 8th when the entire squad can enter the building. That means coaches, players, and staff will begin diving into tape, planning drills, and getting mentally ready. No physical contact yet, but the grind starts in the classroom. And it matters. Even more good news. Because the Raiders have a new head coach, they've been granted extra time. A special veteran minicamp is scheduled for April 21st to 23rd, giving this squad more valuable reps to learn the new system and build chemistry early. And here's something fans will love. Max Crosby is already showing what it means to lead by example. He's in the building by 6:15 every single morning, grinding, preparing, setting the tone. And right beside him, rookie lineman Jackson Powers Johnson. That's how cultures are built, with guys who put in the work when no one's watching. Unfortunately, not every player is wired like that. Some just clock in and out. They're good enough to collect paychecks, but they're not chasing greatness. That's why this early off-season phase is so important. It separates the real competitors from the ones just along for the ride. What happens when a new coaching staff takes over? You find out who's really built for greatness. April 8th marks a crucial date for the Las Vegas Raiders. That's when players can officially return to the facility. And with a new regime led by John Spytek and Pete Carroll, everything starts fresh. These coaches don't know yet who's all in. They don't know who's grinding at 6 a.m. and who's showing up at the last minute. This is when they find out. Guys like Dylan Parham and Jack Jones will now have the chance to prove their work ethic to the new staff. There have been whispers about Jack Jones lacking discipline, but the talent is undeniable. If he buys in, the Raiders could unlock something special. But it starts now. No shortcuts, no excuses. Now, here's the exciting part. Because of the coaching change, the Raiders get a bonus 3-day veteran minicamp running from April 21st to 23rd. This isn't just meetings. It's real, on-field football. Players won't be hitting each other yet, but they'll get to line up, run drills, and start implementing the new system. That's a huge advantage early in the off-season. Just days after that, it's draft time. And right after the draft, another key moment: rookie minicamp. While the official dates haven't been released yet, we know it's coming before OTAs begin on May 19th. This is where the newest Raiders begin their journey, learning the playbook, adjusting to the speed, and showing they belong. Once OTAs hit, things go up a notch. Veterans return. 11-on-11 practices begin. While there's still no full-contact tackling, players are now flying around at 75% speed, running full-team drills, and building chemistry on both sides of the ball. This is where playbooks come alive. Then in June, mandatory minicamp arrives from June 10th to 12th. This is when storylines start to heat up. Who's showing up? Who's holding out? It's the kind of moment that separates the committed from the casual. And let's not forget something crucial. The Raiders are clearly pushing to win now. Max Crosby's contract says it all. While it looks like a 5-year deal, only the first 2 years are locked in. The final 3, they're movable. If the Raiders wanted to, they could trade Crosby during that stretch, especially since his future salaries would be considered a bargain for any team hunting for an elite pass rusher. But the goal isn't to trade stars. The goal is to build something lasting, and that starts with how hard this team works before the season even kicks off. Let's talk about how serious the Raiders really are about winning, and how every move they're making points toward a full-blown win-now strategy. Take Max Crosby's contract, for example. On the surface, it's a 5-year deal. But look closer. Only the first 2 years are solid. After that, the team can move on, and fast. But here's the twist. That structure makes Crosby one of the most tradable superstars in the NFL. If another team wants him down the road, they won't just be getting an elite pass rusher, they'll be getting a major bargain. That's why some front offices would offer multiple first-round picks just to get him. But make no mistake, Crosby isn't planning to go anywhere. This setup is a message. He's challenging the Raiders. Go all in, build a real contender, or I'll find a team that will. And it looks like the front office is listening. Now, enter Geno Smith. You don't sign a veteran quarterback like Geno just to rebuild. You sign him because you expect to win right now. But for Geno to succeed, the Raiders need to surround him with real weapons, and that's where the concerns begin. The wide receiver room? Still missing firepower. Sure, Trey Tucker has raw talent, and Jacoby Myers brings solid tape, but what happens if Myers goes down? Can Tucker step up against elite corners like Jalen Ramsey or Patrick Surtain? Probably not, and that's a huge gamble. If the Raiders stay at pick number 6, they must consider drafting a top-tier wide receiver. This isn't the time to wait for round 2. Elite talent doesn't last long. The difference between a first-round game-changer and a second-round hopeful is massive. And what about the backfield? The current situation is risky at best. Yes, the Raiders signed Raheem Mostert, but let's be honest, he's aging and injury-prone. If he goes down, are we really putting Zamir White back in the RB1 spot? That didn't go well last season, and everyone remembers it. So here's the formula. Draft a wide receiver and a running back, and suddenly, this offense starts to look dangerous. Because the defense, it's already a beast. Now, let's say the top skill players are off the board. Ashton Jeanty, gone. Travis Hunter, gone. In that case, don't force it. Shift the focus to the trenches. If Amarius Mims, arguably the top right tackle in the class, is still on the board, grab him. Protecting Geno Smith has to be a top priority. You win games by keeping your quarterback upright and opening lanes for the run game. And for those wondering about positions like safety or tight end, be real. Teams rarely spend top 10 picks there unless the player is a once-in-a-decade special. The Raiders need to invest in positions that move the needle. Wide receiver, tackle, corner, defensive line. As for DJ Glaze, he's got tools. But can he be the long-term answer on the line? That's the question we'll dive into soon. Because in this league, you can't afford to settle. Not when every move signals that the window to win is open right now. Let's break down what's really happening with DJ Glaze, because the Raiders can't afford to overlook this if they want to protect the future of their offense. Against the Chargers, the coaching staff made a bold move. They left Glaze on an island in true one-on-one situations. No help, just him versus the pass rusher. That's where cracks started to show. Too many snaps showed the same story. Glaze struggled to anchor, struggled to react, and struggled to keep his quarterback clean. Even when the quarterback moved away from pressure, he still ended up taking hits, and that's alarming. You see, when young offensive linemen start in the NFL, you want to see flashes. Raw strength, good footwork, maybe some smart recovery plays. But with Glaze, it's hard to see those traits right now. He's not showing the same early potential that other successful tackles like Penei Sewell or Rashawn Slater did in their first seasons. And let's talk about Joey Bosa. Yes, he's a big name, but his recent production doesn't match his reputation. Even so, Glaze couldn't keep him in check. He was pushed back, beaten around the edge, and looked like he was playing catch-up instead of dictating the play. Now, this doesn't mean Glaze can't improve. He has the physical tools, and with hard work, it's absolutely possible he makes a leap. But based on what we've seen so far, the technique just isn't there yet. When asked to block without assistance, especially against speed and finesse, he looks uncomfortable. Even when the Raiders gave him help, like adding 2 tight ends to his side, he still had trouble adjusting to fakes and switching responsibilities mid-play. Whether it was mistiming a block or releasing too early, it just didn't look clean. And then you flip the tape and look at Colton Miller, one-on-one on the opposite side. Less help, tighter matchups, and yet far more consistent. That contrast says a lot. Glaze may one day be a solid piece of this line, but right now, he looks like a project. And in a year where the Raiders are trying to win now, that's a risky gamble. Bottom line, if the Raiders want to protect their quarterback and compete in the AFC, the offensive line, especially the right side, needs to tighten up. DJ Glaze has to grow up fast, or the Raiders better have a plan B ready. Let's get real about DJ Glaze. It's clear he's facing serious challenges when it comes to blocking one-on-one, especially against high-level pass rushers. And, unfortunately, it's not just about raw strength, it's the fundamentals, too. The lack of quick footwork is hurting him. In the NFL, you can't always rely on extra help, like Michael Mayer chipping a pass rusher every time. While it can work occasionally, it's not sustainable. The offense needs to flow freely, and head coach Josh McDaniels loves to set up 5-man pass protections, meaning Glaze will often find himself on an island, expected to block his man straight up. And here's the issue. When it's a true 5-man pass protection, DJ Glaze simply doesn't have the consistency needed. This is exactly what we saw against the Chargers. Sure, the quarterback got the ball out fast, but the protection was still compromised. Glaze couldn't hold his ground. It was a losing snap. There's a clear gap between what we need him to do and what he's delivering on the field. Look at this play. The ball gets passed to the running back. But this was not a designed checkdown. Aidan McConnell wanted to take a shot downfield. Glaze's failure to lock down the edge pressured McConnell into a quick decision. Again, this isn't just about whether the pass is completed. It's about the underlying issue with protection. Glaze needs to anchor better and maintain his block. There's more to this story. Even when the Raiders used a tight end or running back to influence the rusher, Glaze's technique still fell short. He just didn't engage long enough or keep control of his opponent. In some of these plays, if the quarterback had shifted direction or taken longer, Glaze could have cost them a sack. Yes, Glaze is a rookie, but the truth is that when you're playing tackle in the NFL, you have to mature quickly. I've watched countless offensive tackles over the years, and many of them were much more poised in their first year than what we're seeing from Glaze. While there are flashes of potential, like the play where Aidan McConnell climbs the pocket, Glaze's footwork and reaction to pressure simply aren't good enough yet. Against seasoned pass rushers, you can't afford to give ground. You have to stop the rusher within those first 2 steps. Glaze didn't do that. The question is, can Glaze grow into the player the Raiders need him to be? He has the tools, but it's all about refining his technique. Time will tell, but for now, it's evident he needs a lot of work to become the reliable tackle this offensive line desperately needs. The Raiders did something interesting against the Chargers. They set up their offensive line for true 5-man pass protection. This is a bit different from what we saw last season, where they often relied on chipping the rushers. But in this game, Josh McDaniels made the call to test the offensive line in a more traditional setup, and it was a smart move to gauge where they stood. However, the results weren't perfect. DJ Glaze, despite the effort, still showed areas for improvement. While some blame could go to other players like Dylan Haar, it's clear that Glaze struggles with consistency in one-on-one pass protection. Even when the quarterback managed to get the ball out quickly, it was still a losing snap from an overall protection standpoint. One particular play stood out. Even though the ball was released, the defensive line pressure was felt, and Glaze had trouble passing off defenders. In the NFL, you have to make clean contact and get the assignment done, every time. Looking forward, We'll likely see more of this five-man pass protection from the Raiders as the season progresses. If Glaze can clean up his technique and footwork, he could become more reliable in these situations. But right now, the Raiders need him to step up and handle pressure better. As for the Raiders' defense, there's a lot of work to do there too. The cornerback position needs attention, especially after last season's struggles. There's talk of Jack Jones, but his effort has been questioned. If he doesn't show commitment, the Raiders will have to consider their options, whether that means benching him or finding a better fit. Eric Stokes could be a potential solution, or maybe Sam Webb takes a step forward. The defense is still figuring things out. In the linebacker room, we're expecting Devin White to bring speed and physicality to the weak side, while Orlando Roberts takes on the role of the inside linebacker, focusing on shutting down the run. While the Raiders' linebackers might not be elite, the key to their success will be the defensive line's pressure. Patrick Graham and Pete Carroll have proven track records of creating effective defensive schemes. So, if the line can dominate, let me know what you think. What do the Raiders need to fix to go all in this season?